When it comes to relationships, one of the most important questions to ask is this: what shapes someone's feelings more deeply? What you do for them or what they do for you? Most people assume love grows when you give more, try harder, prove your worth, and do everything possible to keep the connection alive. But the truth is often very different. People tend to value what they invest in. When someone gives their time, effort, attention, energy, and emotion to a relationship, they become more attached to it. And yet, so many people are taught to do the opposite. They overgive, overextend, over-explaining their value, thinking that if they love hard enough, stay long enough, and sacrifice enough, they will finally be chosen. But in many cases, that does not create love. It creates imbalance. The more you make someone the center of your emotional world, the more likely they are to take your presence for granted. That is why detachment is so powerful. Detachment does not mean becoming cold, distant, or pretending not to care. It means caring without clinging. It means loving without losing yourself. It means being open to connection without making another person responsible for your peace, your happiness, or your sense of worth. And when you learn how to do that, everything changes. One of the biggest mistakes people make in love is believing that another person completes them. It sounds romantic, but it creates dependency. If you believe someone completes you, then without them, you must feel incomplete. And when you feel incomplete, you begin to approach relationships from lack. You start looking for someone to fill emotional spaces that you have not learned to fill within yourself. That is where the pressure begins. Even if you do not say it directly, people can feel when your peace depends on them. They can feel when you need constant reassurance, when your happiness rises and falls with their attention, and when your emotional stability is tied to whether they text, call, pursue, or validate you. That kind of energy can feel heavy. But when you are already emotionally full, when you have built a life that brings you joy, when you know how to create peace, confidence, and self-respect within yourself, your energy becomes completely different. You are no longer silently asking someone to save you from emptiness. You are inviting them into a life that is already meaningful. That is deeply attractive because emotional wholeness creates emotional freedom. People are naturally drawn to those who enjoy their lives, who know who they are, and who are not desperate to be chosen in order to feel valuable. This is why chasing so often creates the opposite of what you want. There is a difference between healthy effort and chasing. Healthy effort is mutual. Chasing is one-sided. Healthy effort says, I care and I'm willing to show up. Chasing says, I will keep proving myself even if I'm not being met. The moment you start trying to force someone to see your worth, you are no longer standing in your worth. Real value does not beg to be recognized. It does not panic in silence. It does not overfunction to compensate for someone else's inconsistency. When you chase, you start checking your phone too often, rereading conversations, analyzing every detail, and adjusting yourself just to keep the connection alive. You begin to lose your naturalness. You become focused on managing the relationship instead of experiencing it. That is exhausting, and it often pushes you further away from the very connection you are trying to secure. The more you chase reassurance, the less secure you feel. The more you overgive to be valued, the more unseen you often become. The more you focus on being chosen, the less you focus on whether the relationship is actually healthy for you. A powerful shift happens when you stop asking, do they like me? And start asking better questions. Do I like how I feel around this person? Do they bring peace into my life or confusion? Are their actions consistent? Do their words match what they actually do? Do I feel respected? Do I feel emotionally safe? Am I becoming more myself in this connection, or am I shrinking just to keep it? These are the questions that return you to your center. Because the goal is not simply to be wanted. The goal is to be loved well. Someone can want you and still be inconsistent. Someone can desire you and still be emotionally unavailable. Someone can be attracted to you and still not be capable of giving you what you need. Attention is not the same as intention. Chemistry is not the same as commitment. Potential is not the same as reality. And detachment helps you stop confusing those things. It helps you see clearly. It helps you stop falling in love with glimpses, mixed signals, and possibilities. and start paying attention to patterns, consistency, and emotional maturity. Another truth that changes everything is this. Very often, you do not want the person as much as you want the feeling you believe they will give you. You think you want their attention, but what you really want is to feel desired. You think you want the relationship, but what you really want is to feel safe, chosen, loved, and secure. You think you want the text, the call, the commitment, but underneath all of that, you want the emotional experience those things represent. This realization is freeing because it helps you stop giving other people so much power. No one is inherently magical. No one is the source of your worth. No one is the gatekeeper of your peace. They may awaken certain feelings inside you, but the capacity for love, joy, security, and self-respect already exists within you. And when you begin to create those feelings from within, you stop approaching relationships from emotional hunger. You stop needing someone to complete you, fix you, or constantly reassure you in order for you to feel okay. That does not make love less meaningful. It makes love healthier because now you are choosing connection from clarity rather than from craving. People tend to value what they invest in, and this is one of the deepest truths in relationships. Not because love should be transactional, and not because relationships should become games, but because effort creates emotional involvement. When someone makes time for you, thinks about you, plans around you, supports you, and consistently shows up for you, they naturally become more attached to the connection. Their investment deepens their care. This is why overgiving too soon can actually work against you. If you do all the initiating, all the planning, all the emotional labor, all the understanding, all the sacrificing, and all the adjusting, the other person may enjoy what you bring, but they may not value it in the same way because they have not had to invest much of themselves. That is where resentment often begins. Detachment teaches you to leave room. Room for the other person to show effort. Room for them to pursue. Room for them to reveal their intentions. Room for reciprocity. It is not about withholding love. It is about refusing to build a relationship alone and call it mutual. Desperation is one of the biggest forces that pushes love away, even when it disguises itself as loyalty, patience, or kindness. Desperation is not always dramatic. Sometimes it looks like always being available. Sometimes it looks like accepting less than you need. Sometimes it looks like giving endless chances while calling it understanding. Sometimes it looks like silencing your needs because you are afraid of being seen as too much. Underneath desperation is fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not being enough, fear that if you stop trying, the connection will disappear. But the more you betray yourself to keep someone, the less secure the relationship becomes. Deep down, you know when the connection is being held together by your over-effort instead of mutual intention. That creates exhaustion. Detachment breaks that cycle. It allows you to say, if this works out, beautiful. If it does not, I will still be okay. It allows you to care without collapsing. It allows you to remain open without becoming consumed. It allows you to understand that if someone cannot meet you where you are, that is not proof that you are unworthy. It is simply proof that this connection may not be aligned. There is also a kind of emotional state that is often overlooked in relationships because people assume love must feel intense to be real, and that state is neutrality. Neutrality is not indifference. It is calm expectation without emotional chaos. It is the ability to say, I want this, but I do not need to force it. I care, but I am not consumed by it. I hope this works, but I do not need to lose myself in the process. That energy is incredibly magnetic because obsession creates pressure, while neutrality creates space. People move toward what feels open, grounded, and emotionally safe. They often pull away from what feels heavy, urgent, or controlling. So if you are constantly tense, constantly waiting, constantly trying to control the outcome, ask yourself what it would feel like to loosen your grip. Ask yourself what would change if you believed that what is truly meant for you will not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. The moment you know you can handle either outcome, you become calmer, clearer, and far more powerful in love. Detachment also helps you see reality. Attachment often makes people see what they want to see. It makes them excuse inconsistency, overlook emotional unavailability, romanticize minimal effort, and keep hoping that potential will eventually become reality. But detachment clears the fog. It helps you notice patterns instead of promises. It helps you recognize effort instead of fantasy. It helps you understand whether a relationship is naturally growing or being carried entirely by your hope. And that clarity is a gift, even when it hurts, because false hope keeps people stuck in draining situations for months or even years. Truth may be painful, but it is freeing. Detachment does not make you stop caring. It makes you stop lying to yourself about what is actually happening. The deepest transformation comes when you shift from trying to get love to learning how to be love. Most people enter relationships focused on getting attention, getting commitment, getting reassurance, getting chosen, getting validation. But true power begins when you stop asking how to get love and start asking how to embody it. Become the peace you keep asking others to bring you. Become the reassurance you keep begging others to give you. Become the safety you keep hoping someone else will create for you. Become the validation you keep searching for in someone else's approval. Because when you do that, your energy changes. You become calmer, more selective, less reactive, more discerning, more grounded, and more radiant. You stop relating from emptiness. You stop clinging to anyone who gives you a little attention. You stop chasing people who are not choosing you clearly. And people feel that shift. They may not be able to explain it, but they feel the difference between someone who is desperately trying to be loved and someone who is deeply anchored in self-respect. So if you want to understand why detachment makes someone value you more, the answer is simple. Detachment brings you back to your worth. It stops you from over-chasing, over-giving, and over-identifying with someone else's behavior. It stops you from building a connection alone and calling it love. It stops you from mistaking attention for intention and temporary chemistry for true compatibility. Most importantly, it stops you from abandoning yourself in the hope of being chosen. And when you stop abandoning yourself, everything changes. You become harder to take for granted, harder to manipulate, harder to confuse, and harder to keep in half-hearted love. Not because you are playing games, but because you are no longer available for relationships that cost you your peace. That is the real power of detachment. It is not about becoming unavailable. It is about becoming anchored. It is about understanding that real love does not ask you to shrink, beg, prove, or lose yourself. Real love meets you where self-respect already lives. So choose the connection that chooses you. Choose the effort that is mutual. Choose the peace that remains whether someone stays or goes. Choose the life that feels full with or without a relationship. Because the moment you stop making another person your source, you become far more powerful in love. And often that is the exact moment you stop needing to chase what is truly meant for you.